See, we've taken rock samples from a number of places. 4 rock units in the Grand Canyon. We collected lots of samples in the Grand Canyon of each of these rock layers. We've done it in other parts of the world. I've done it in New Zealand. And what we've done is we've submitted the same samples to more than one of these dating methods, because the theory says that if the clocks ticked at the rate that we measure them today, and it's been a closed system, then it wouldn't matter if you use potassium, argon, uranium, lead. They should all give you the same result. It's like having a series of hourglass clocks lined up on the bench.
With just different kind of sand.
Exactly. And so we wanted to test that. And so what we found is on the same samples with more than one method, we were getting ages that were different by hundreds of millions of years, or even a billion years in some instances. For example, one of the lava flows in the Grand Canyon, the potassium argon gave an age of 516 million years. Rubidium strontium was double that, 1,111 million years. And one of the other methods, samarium gave an age of 1,588 million years, 3 times. So we're not talking about small disparities between the ages. We're seeing huge differences by using different methods.
Well, if there is that kind of a difference between all of these dating methods, then that would seem to confirm the fact that we have an open system here, not
Correct.
A closed one.
And if we have an open system, that means we can't trust it to give us dependable dates for these rocks. And that changes the whole thinking about the history of the Earth, because suddenly now these radioactive clocks are not reliable. We've got evidence that rates were faster in the past. Suddenly, we may not be thinking in terms of millions of years. We may be thinking in terms of a history that is much shorter.
But you were saying that this kind of evidence is in the open literature now.
Yes.
Why is it not making an impact?
Well, I've been asked that when I've spoken in university geology departments. I'll get asked the question, well, if this is in the textbooks, why aren't we taught it? And the answer is because there is a commitment to the millions of years. And so once people get locked into that focus, anything outside their field of view that conflicts with that focus is marginalised. And the reason why the millions of years are important, if we go back in the history of scientific thought, Charles Lyell in England proposed millions of years, and they multiplied the ages for the rocks. And that was the foundation on which Charles Darwin built. In fact, he read Charles Lyell's book and was convinced of the millions of years of geological evolution, so he could say, now, given enough time, what we don't see happening in the present, we might only see small changes in the present. Given millions of years, the small changes can add up to big changes. And so if you want to have a world view or a way of looking at the history that says that we got here by chance, random processes over millions of years, then you've got to have rocks that are millions of years old. Otherwise, you've undermined that whole foundation of that view of Earth history.
So time becomes the critical, if not the critical element, a critical element for the conventional paradigm.
Exactly.
And that time has to be deep time.
Yeah, and this was actually, a Scientific American article, a professor of biology at Harvard University in the mid-50s, when he was talking about the origin of life. He's in fact said, time is the hero of the plot. You know, given enough time, what we think is impossible to happen now, given enough time, the impossible becomes possible and the possible becomes probable. And here we are. Yeah. And so that's the nature of what we're talking about.
So deep time almost becomes a magic wand here.
Yes.
Without that, then there's the stark reality that we're dealing with something other than...
You wave it over the rocks, you wave it over the fossils, and you start to imagine that what couldn't happen in the present could happen over millions of years.